Let's see here. Okay, I think we're working now. Okay, I think we're working now, folks. This is Sherman Ray, this is the Livin in Vegas podcast. I want to welcome you folks to the show this morning where we talk to you about the people, the places, the trends, the events that shape the city of Las Vegas. When you think of living in Vegas, folks, think living local and the return of cool. So I want to welcome you all to the show this morning. And if you can tell, I'm actually in a little different venue this morning. Probably sounds a little different. I had a really busy week. And I had a feeling I wasn't going to be able to be in our regular studio. But we're actually at, and many of you know that so we're on location right now. So I'll just leave it at that. Okay, we're on location right now. And in the background here, folks, over my shoulder here, is my new digs. And actually, I'm going to spin this around here so you can actually see we're actually in a studio. So maybe I'll just put it that way because it looks kind of cool that way. So you can actually see like the music and stuff like that. And many of you know, and I've told you this before, that I was a musician many years ago. I'm still a musician at heart. And so that's kind of part of the band set up there. And if you want to check us out, you can come out and see us on Sundays and see what we're doing for living in Vegas. So for those of you, this might be your first time checking out the show. I'm Sherman Ray, publisher of Livin in Vegas magazine. It comes out pretty much every quarter, so that's the cover of it right there. And on the cover is Nathan Hall, and he's the brewmaster over at Bad Beat Brewery. So we want to welcome Nathan. He's one of our proud sponsors for the Livin in Vegas podcast. Also, we've got some folks, and you got to meet them last week. I'm so excited you got to meet them last week. Bree and Sam are the stewards. They're over at Hip Hop Nation. So another proud sponsor. Thank you so much for being a part of the show. And if you want to read about them, folks, you can read about them in this week's Livin Weekly magazine. That's right. They're going to be in Livin Weekly magazine. I'm going to move this over just a little bit more because it's very hard to see me that way. They're going to be in this issue of Livin Weekly magazine. And so you can actually read all about Bree and Sam on His Hop Nation. You also get to read about my prognostication on the rise of the Las Vegas Aces. Okay, and I think they're just doing a fantastic job. I lost my phone here somewhere, folks, and I hate to put my phone down because you know what? It'll probably ring right in the middle of the show. So, anyways, let's do this. Let's pay a bill or two, and then we'll be back with the rest of the show, the Sherman Ray, Livin in Vegas podcast. We'll be back in just a second. Hi, everybody. It's Sherman Ray for Livin in Vegas podcast. Are you a business owner that's looking to get the word out about his product, service, or even just a great message out there? Well, we'd like to give you that opportunity by being a guest on Livin in Vegas podcast. It's super simple. All you've got to do is contact us at advertising@livininvegas.com. That's advertising@livininvegas.com, and we'll schedule you for an interview on Livin in Vegas podcast. I'm Sherman Ray for Livin in Vegas podcast, where we talk about the people, the places, the trends, and the events that shape the city of Las Vegas. I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye. All right, we are back, folks, and we were just talking before the break about my phone, of course, and how I couldn't find my phone, so I found my phone. And this is really important. I'm going to do something here really, really quick, and I'm going to add, maybe I won't be able to add it, but I'm going to try anyways. I'm going to try to add a video capture device here, and what's going to happen is we're going to add, let's see if it's out here. Can I even find it? Maybe not even be able to find it at this point. I'll do it next time because sometimes it takes a little while to figure out this stuff. Anyways, we were in our last segment. We were talking about the Las Vegas Aces and how they are on the front cover of this week's Livin Weekly magazine. And the reason why I'm leaving this up is this is important. The Las Vegas Aces have not only been doing a fantastic job basketball-wise, and on the cover here you see Chelsea Gray, who I just love me some Chelsea Gray, but they are the number one seed for the WNBA championship, which is being played right now. Okay, so right now the Las Vegas Aces are the number one seed. They started off the season just fantastic, not just good, but fantastic. I think they won like their first 13 games in a row. And I predicted, folks, this 2 years ago, that the Las Vegas Aces not only were going to do really well in the WNBA, but I predicted that they would win the title. Okay, and that I stepped out on a limb. They were a brand new franchise here in Las Vegas. They weren't a brand new team. They'd been playing in Dallas before. I think it was in Dallas. But they were a brand new team here to Las Vegas. So, went to their first season back in 2020. Actually, they were here before that, but I caught on to them in 2020, which is 2 years ago. And I remember at the time, the Las Vegas Aces had no support. I mean, they couldn't buy support. They were trying to find support anyplace. And we loved them, though, because I was a part of the Black Business Chamber of Commerce, which I founded back in 2019. So we had a golf tournament. We invited them. We had events. We invited them. Couldn't get them to come to any of these games. And I was going, what's going on with this? Nobody's showing you any love. We're showing you love, okay? Now, I did have one or two players who reached out to me and said, hey, Sherman, we'd love to be a part of what you're doing. And since you're showing us some love, we will come to some of your events. And so they came to our golf tournament. We had some NFL guys, that kind of stuff. And many of you have heard this story before, so it's nothing new to you. Well, that year when they played in 2020, they played great. They were still at the top of the league. Went to the Olympics, had people going to the Olympics, just blah, blah, blah. All kinds of great stuff was happening with the team. And all of a sudden, heads started turning towards the Aces. Can you see that? I turned right towards her. Chelsea Gray. They started turning towards the Las Vegas Aces. And I'm thinking, if you watch, these guys, everybody's going to love them. So, yes, they did. The owner of the Las Vegas Raiders decided to buy the team. There's nothing wrong with that, okay? Show them some Raider love. That's fine. And Al Davis's kid, Mark, buys the Las Vegas Aces, starts doing all kinds of great stuff with them. I mean, just puts them in clothes. He gets them a great locker room. He does this, he does that. He pulls some strings. That's really what they needed. They needed some love, okay, big time love. And they invited, and this just has nothing to do with what we're talking about here today, but it has something to do with this cover of Livin Weekly magazine, is that now when you go to a Las Vegas Aces game, it is sold out. It could be, let's not say it's sold out. It's packed, okay? It's packed. They set attendance records, which is fantastic. And like they didn't need any more help, they got Becky Hammond, who's their coach, and her story is fantastic. We're actually doing a story about Becky Hammond because she's fantastic. You thought Kelsey Plum was cool. Becky Hammond's got the story. Okay, it's a great story about her. And we'll put it next week so you can see her too, because we love us some women. Love the Raiderettes, love the Aces, love all of our girls. UNLV women's Rebels, Becky Hammond, Chelsea Gray, Kelsey Plum, Asia Wilson, all the girls, love them all. Okay, De'Erica Hamby, love us some De'Erica Hamby, love you. So, anyways, now the game is capacity. They're the number one seed in the WNBA finals. And it looks to me, and you can see it on the cover of the magazine here, folks, Las Vegas Aces on a collision course with the title. of the WNBA championship. It's going to be great. If you saw game one, which was 2 days ago, fantastic game. Fantastic game. It was close all the way until the end of it. The Vegas Aces pulled away a little bit, but you can see it this week, folks. Livin Weekly magazine. You're going to see their story. It's just a fantastic story of what the Aces are doing. So what's in the news today? I have no idea. I didn't even look, to tell you the truth. Let me see if I can find what's going on in the news here today. Sorry, I'm using one screen here today, so it's really kind of tough for me here. I know what I can talk about. I'm going to try to find something that's going on local here, though, folks, because this is just some good stuff going on here, but I want to make sure. So there is something going on in Las Vegas. I think it's coming up pretty quick here. The Slam Dunk event is going to be coming up. Oh, so this is actually pretty cool. So I guess today is National Relaxation Day. Yes, August is the National Wellness Month. And so if you would like to relax today, folks, today is the day. Yes, it's National Relaxation. I know. Sometimes you wonder to yourself, you go, "Wow, that's a very interesting story. I never thought about National Relaxation Day, but I guess it is." So I'm stalling here, folks, because I didn't really look up anything today because I was just so behind the times on this. So I'm looking at some great stories here. I know the Raiders are going to be playing their final game of the last couple of preseason games. Let's talk about a little politics, okay? I know we don't talk about politics enough here. We probably should, too, because this is really mattering. In about 81 days, folks, we are having our midterm elections. And I think there are... Susie Lee, her Senate seat or congressional seat is up. Also, Adam Laxalt is going against Catherine Cortez Masto. But the big story is about our governor's race, and that would be Joe Lombardo is going to be going up against Steve Sisolak. Now, the interesting thing about Steve Sisolak is that Steve Sisolak and Joe Lombardo both served here in Las Vegas locally. So it's not as though you had somebody who was up in northern Nevada where there's only like 10 people. You've got the guys who actually were where the bulk of the people are at, they served here. Joe Lombardo, who is the sheriff for the Metropolitan Police Department, and then you've got sitting governor, former county commissioner, Steve Sisolak. So they are, I guess they're going head-to-head. For the governor's race, it is a tight race right now. I mean, it's super tight. You've probably already seen the signs up all over town where Governor Steve Sisolak is basically pairing himself with Joe Biden. I don't know if that's the greatest idea in the world, to tell you the truth, because Joe Biden is not really well loved any place in America. And as they find out more and more about him, people love him even less. But Steve Sisolak says, hey, I pledge allegiance to Joe Biden. And so, and Joe Lombardo, even though he was endorsed by former President Donald Trump, President Donald Trump is loved by Republicans like 98%. So it's not as though, and half the nation loves him. And whereas Joe Biden, people on his side, nobody, not even Democrats want him to run. It's a very strange relationship. So to make a long story short on this particular race, the Joe Lombardo and Steve Sisolak are going to have a debate, which will be very interesting. This will be pretty cool. Clark County Sheriff Joe Lombardo said Thursday that he will commit to 3 debates with Governor Steve Sisolak in the race for governor. The campaign for Lombardo, the Republican nominee, released a statement. The campaign released a statement with Sisolak, the Democrat incumbent. It should be held. They're going to hold them in Las Vegas, Reno, and Elko. So it should be pretty cool. So we know that here in the state of Nevada, we've got our ups, our downs, we've got our rights and our lefts, and it should be very interesting. Now, I want to preface this by saying, folks, this is not a political show. I am a very political person. Many of you know I'm actually a very political person, but I try not to get my politics involved in too much of what I do outside of the political realm. But we actually have some real big choices to make here in Las Vegas because we're just getting hammered, and we're just getting hammered here down in the state. And if we don't make the right choices right now, we're gonna have some problems. We really are. So let's take a really quick break. Let's take a really quick break here, and we'll be back in just a second, folks. This is Sherman Ray. This is the Livin in Vegas podcast, where we talk about the people, the places, the trends, and events that shape the city of Las Vegas. We'll be back in just a second, okay? Hi, everybody. It's Sherman Ray for Livin in Vegas podcast. Are you a business owner that's looking to get the word out about his product, service, or even just a great message out there? Well, we'd like to give you that opportunity by being a guest on Livin in Vegas podcast. It's super simple. All you've got to do is contact us at advertising@livininvegas.com. That's advertising@livininvegas.com. And we'll schedule you for an interview on Livin in Vegas podcast. I'm Sherman Ray for Livin in Vegas podcast, where we talk about the people, the places, the trends, and the events that shape the city of Las Vegas. We'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye. Folks, it's Sherman Ray, and we are back. So there was another story. I want to apologize to our listeners out there. If you're watching the show today and you're going, man, Sherman, you're kind of in a weird spot right here. We're actually working remotely today, and we can do that. I mean, we're remote. We're actually at the church I'm serving at now. So I'm actually an associate pastor now, which is great. So something I've always wanted to do. And so I figured, you know what, I'm going to be here all day long because we have Sunday service, and I want to make sure this will actually be my first service where this congregation gets to see what I do. You know, so I've got my guitar over here, I've got all the instruments and stuff like that. So I do a lot of music and stuff like that. So I'm working with a handicap. Don't have a lot of the stuff I normally have in our regular studio, but it's all good. It's all going to work out just fine. And which means also I can't talk to you folks who are watching us on Facebook. So, because I only have one computer that I'm working with in front of me right now. Usually I have three of them, so it's all good. Many of you know that one of the things, the big things that's happening in school right now, and this is a plea to some of you fathers. Last year we had a rash of violence in the Clark County School District, especially down, locally here in Las Vegas. And teachers were like outraged. They were over at the school I used to go to, El Dorado High School. Teacher got just pummeled. And so there's a pastor named Pastor Troy Martinez, and he started an organization called Dads in Schools. And Dads in Schools, what it does is it hopes that bringing adults who are dads with shirts, they're training, that kind of stuff, and have them monitor the hallways, that it will bring a sense of calm and a sense of, safety to schools that are undermanned, underforced, and just ill-equipped to take care of the needs of these students. And the hard thing about this whole thing is when I was going to school, we had some bad kids at school, no doubt about it. We had fights. And I don't ever recall, and some of my friends who went to El Dorado High School have to remind me, if we ever had a teacher that was assaulted by a student. I cannot think of one right now where a student assaulted a teacher. We did have kids who assaulted other kids, pretty much on a daily basis. Well, not even on a daily basis, but you have your fights. Fast forward to 2020, 2021, it was just hellion. These were some hellions out there, and we've got all kinds of new thoughts and new things that are going on, and Clark County School District is not exempt from that. So Pastor Troy said, hey, let's see if we can get some fathers into the schools, and maybe we can help quell some of this stuff. So it's a organization called Dads in Schools. We'll put the link to it on our website, and I hope we can probably maybe put it up here on our Facebook page, and you can check that out. So that's a big story that's going to be going around this year, where you can maybe help out. And they still need some dads, so don't think that they don't. And it would be great if you can. So all my kids are out of school now, and even my kids have been out of school for years, but even my grandkids, I've got a few grandkids that are still in school, which is great. But we've just become empty nesters now. And so, as a matter of fact, my wife and I were driving by Bonanza High School yesterday, and we saw, that something was going on, and we go, hey, what's going on over at Bonanza High School? Because we had one of our grandkids went to Bonanza High School. And we remembered going to his going to his football games and stuff like that. So let's talk about monkeypox. Okay, just really bright. So how much time do we got? Okay, I just got like 1 minute left. I'm sorry, we're going to have to end at 9 o'clock, even though we got started late. We'll still have to end at 9 o'clock. So monkeypox. Many of you know monkeypox is the new coronavirus. It is. It's a little different in that it is not made by some foreign government that we know of yet. But it is spread primarily in the LGBTQ community. And there was a report about this yesterday about how there was such a slow response by the federal government to monkeypox that it is probably going to be here to stay. Okay, it's not like coronavirus where we were ahead of it, even though it was a brand new thing and it was a once in a lifetime thing that happened. Monkeypox, we knew about it before, and before we knew it, we were allowing people in the we were letting our better judgment get ahead of us, and we did not get ahead of this disease. Okay, so they're having a town hall on. I'm going to open this up. This will be our last story today, guys. Okay. They had a town hall on this Thursday, I believe it was. Yeah, Thursday evening. And they talked about it. We're going to leave a link to this because this is something that is already here in Clark County. Okay, we saw it. We saw where it was at. It was in Europe. There was a big rave party with a bunch of guys that were just kind of, it's like a big orgy. And evidently one of those guys who was in Europe came here to Las Vegas, of course, spread here, and it's going to spread. We're not trying to, get people in a panic. It is very treatable. It's not going to kill you, that kind of thing. But it doesn't mean that it's not a major inconvenience here in Clark County. So we really want to be aware of this thing. Okay. Anyways, be sure, folks, to go to our website at livininvegas.com. livininvegas.com, and check out the brand new Livin Weekly magazine. Definitely check out Livin in Vegas magazine and thumb through it. It's a free download. You can actually get that as a free download. Also, if you would like to get on our mailing list and you just never get anything from us, there's a reason why. It's because you're not on our mailing list. Get on our mailing list. All you have to do is send me your information to info@livininvegas.com. That's info@livininvegas.com. We'll put you on our mailing list, and you'll get our updates pretty much every day of the week. Every day of the week. A lot of stuff I talk about here on the show, and a lot of stuff I am not able to get to because I talk so much. So we'll get that in your hands, okay? Anyways, we will see you again Monday 8:30 in the morning for another Livin in Vegas podcast. This has been Sherman Ray for Livin in Vegas podcast, where we talk about the people, the places, the trends, the events that shape the city of Las Vegas. When you think of Livin in Vegas, folks, think Livin local and the return of cool. We'll see you again Monday. Bye-bye.